Hallelujah. Hallelujah money.
All right, well, it's working then. That was just a quick old test just to make sure the microphone is working. We're back!
We're back. That was a reference that I started with that song does not deserve.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it either.
Is their album out yet?
Their album is out. Have you not listened to it?
I've not
Right.
listened
Well,
to it.
I mean, you wouldn't have asked that if you had.
Yeah, the album is it out? I listened to it.
Something's gone wrong if you're asking that and you've listened to it. But yeah, it is out. Listen to it. It's a real mixed bag. It's a real mixed bunch. There's some good stuff on there. I don't think Hallelujah Money's on the album.
Is it not?
I think Hallelujah Money was like a separate release that was just like which is good. I mean, they've not. I'm gonna check now, but yeah, I'm pretty certain that
that's a good shout. We should have everything machines in front of us.
we should have everything machines in front of us. But yeah, it was okay. It wasn't like it. I don't think it was 7 years in the making sort of hype worth, but
yeah, I don't think those. See, it's like 7 years in the making, but I don't think it was 7 years making an album. I think it was just 7 years since they put out an album.
Yeah, exactly. Hallelujah Money is on the album. I'm sorry, I must have just heard the beginning of it and just skipped it when I was listening to it through. Rightly so. But yeah, we're back. We haven't done one in a while. Not that we ever advertise this podcast anyway. So
no, for some people, this will be the first time that they're introduced to
I'm
this.
going to say like everyone but us.
Yeah.
And maybe like 2 people I ever send it to directly. But I feel like pretty confident about this. We got a better setup. We had a real sort of makeshift setup last time.
Yeah, like we're semi-professional.
We're semi-professional now. We got a microphone stand. We're not using a camera tripod and a clip-on mic lying on my bed.
Maybe that should be the image that I'll put that image up for this part of the show.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I got to make sure because of my mic not to move too far away when I get excited.
And I've got to make sure I'm not too animated either. It was good last time because like if we moved, the whole setup would fall apart. So it was good. It was like a good like motivator not to move and a good reminder. But
now we can be. It's more like we're just having a conversation, and this is just a part of it.
Which is good, yeah. Because last time we were both having a conversation facing the wall, like sitting next to each other. It was really weird.
I got really, really tired of looking at that Big Hero 6 hat that you used to have.
Yeah, it's still there, man. It's just behind some.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
It's just behind some board games now. You can still look at it if you want. You still got that there.
Yeah, I can always move One Night, Ultimate Werewolf, Exploding Kittens, and bang.
Yeah, a good set of games.
A good set of games. I played all of them.
Yeah, I bought Ultimate Werewolf after we played it the other day. It was a wicked game. Anyway, so we haven't done one of these since this year.
No,
we haven't done one.
Which is already a lot of time.
It is already a lot of time. Quite a lot of stuff has happened.
I don't think we even did a podcast since. Did we do one after that big plot twist at the end of last year?
What's the big plot twist in? I mean, Trump.
Obviously, yeah.
When was he inaugurated? That was this
January.
January, right. So, yeah, no, so I don't think we have. I don't know. I think the election was hotting up, but I don't think he got elected.
Yeah.
So that was a big plot twist, yeah.
Yeah. I think...
Are we going to touch on it? Does it need to?
I don't think we should talk about it.
I think it's one of those things where, like, I mean, I'm pretty passionate about a lot of stuff, including, like, politics and stuff, but it's got to the stage now where it's just... I don't know, it feels like it's gone so far the way I don't want it to go. I've just lost, like, investment in it. Like, when it starts to come back round the right way, which I have faith it will, I'll get back involved. But for now, I'm letting those people have that, like, you do that, I'm going to just, like, do my job, hang out with my friends and ignore it a bit.
Yeah, I think generally the lesson to be learned from 2016 is that I think I'm happier as a person when I'm concentrating on the things directly in front of me and less on the bigger picture stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I still value the bigger picture. I think it's important because I mean part of the reason why there was so many, in my opinion, why there were so many disastrous decisions made last year was because too many people aren't bothered by the bigger picture stuff, or they aren't bothered by getting the whole truth. So I think as a whole it would be better if everyone was that. But to be honest, it's kind of one of those like if you can't beat them, join them kind of things. I'm joining them in that sand. So
I feel like there's been this intellectual and philosophical war that's being waged with like words, videos, media. It's like this side versus the other side for like what they want the world to be.
Yeah.
And I think neither of those sides really represent what I want the world to be.
Right.
So all I can do is just kind of just ignore those people from now on.
Yeah. I mean overall though things are still pretty good. I think if you're putting it in a wider perspective, it's not really that bad. It's like
statistically, this is one of the greatest times to be alive.
Oh, I mean, I don't think it's one of. I think it is the best.
Yeah, right. Like every bad thing has gone down.
Yeah, I think in pretty much every metric you can ever measure quality of life by, there are more people living that, like, not only can we, like, the person with the best quality of life has the best quality of life there's ever been, but also more people have access to that.
And what we're not saying is not that there aren't problems in the world.
No.
If you're listening to this going, like, who are these guys saying?
You and your ivory tower. Well,
things can be the best they've ever been, and there still be a lot of serious things going on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like, I mean, that's kind of what I meant by before. Like, there were people like in the past who, like, there were smaller populations that maybe lived better than like the average person now, but more people than ever have access to a good quality of life, and it's continuing. I think it is still continuing down that route. There's still a lot of people doing a lot of good things, and it was kind of interesting. Like at the end of last year, like because obviously there's a lot. Like it was pretty much identified as like the worst year on record, just from like it's not the worst year on record, but
I think the general consensus was that it was a bad time.
It was definitely a bad time for everyone. But it was nice to, like, one of the interesting is like a lot of, especially like YouTubers and stuff, channels that I watched had like here actually there's some positive things that happened this year, and like interesting one, I think SciShow did one, and that was really interesting. It was like, what diseases have we like knocked out of like existence this year? It's like a lot of stuff.
I'm gonna say polio for 15.
Polio for 15. Was that polio when it was eradicated in 2015?
No, I mean like 15 is in points on a game show.
Oh right, like a bingo style.
Yeah, like polio would be my guesses to be like.
No, I think it's already been eradicated.
Did we talk about this? 'Cause I think you told me that it was like Bill Gates.
Bill Gates pretty much single-handedly. Yeah, like he's
couldn't defeat Apple, but he was.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Steve Jobs' own silly worldviews defeat himself, so that's fine. Anyway, so yeah.
Speaking of Bill Gates and Microsoft, I am thinking about getting a Zune.
Oh right, yes. Oh, great segue. Aiden. Like really good.
Learn that shit in Segway school.
Basically, we just I like how we just mentioned. Yes, it's been like it's we haven't done a podcast this year. Briefly touched on like some big points, and it's just like straight to current affairs.
Yeah.
And if no one gets what's going on, go see Guardians of the Galaxy
Volume 2.
But also go see the first one if you've not seen that, or if you've seen it, watch it again.
Yeah, I have been watching the Guardians of the Galaxy animated series. I rewatched the movie. I had a like paperback compendium of a bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy comics. Can't find it.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. As soon as I do though, that thing.
When have you had that since? Is that like a childhood thing or?
No, it's like I got it after the movie.
Right. Okay. I was gonna say it's one of those because like. I don't know. Like Marvel's like obviously now pulling on a lot of like extended lore stuff. Like they're going for like heroes that weren't like necessarily popular. Like they're in the comics a lot if you read them, but like they're not pop culture level. You know what I mean? Like
even DC is failing with Batman, Superman, like two of the most famous heroes ever, and Marvel are getting away with Doctor Strange movies. Like, that's how
exactly.
Deep they're getting.
And like Ego, right, is like one of the. I mean,
Ego the Living Planet.
Yeah. I mean, this podcast is titled "Spoilers for Everything."
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's one of those things like how spoilery are we gonna be? Because I'm definitely up for discussing this film.
I really liked, and this will be your answer. I really liked that Gamora just as soon as she meets him says, "If he turns out to be evil, we'll just kill him."
Yeah.
So like,
yeah,
just kind of takes that sort of. It's very obvious that that it's not going to work out between them.
I think you're right. It's and the ride is more about where it goes. I think it's true. Like because I mean it's pretty clear like pretty early on that something's amiss. But I don't know how spoiler you want to go. So let's put a spoiler warning up.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy will be in the name of this podcast title. So
yeah, so if you're listening to it, yeah,
if you're listening to it, then you look past spoilers for everything Guardians of the Galaxy. It's on you.
Yeah, we call it spoilers for everything, and we put it in the title. I think,
and we've mentioned it now, so that's enough.
We've done our best.
That's enough of like.
Let's get into it then.
All those people are gone, right?
Yeah, great film.
Yeah,
really good film. Do
you think it's better than the first one?
I think it's better than the first one. Yes. How are you on that?
I think the first movie is better.
Right.
I think I like the second one more.
Okay. I mean, I kind of get where you're going with that. Like, I feel like maybe I'm in a similar boat. I don't know. I still think this was a better one than the first one. I feel like the first one was slightly more grounded, had more credibility in a lot of what it did. Because like this one had some pretty ridiculously comical scenes.
I guess it had more like power based stuff.
Yeah, it was way. I mean, like there was so much over the top stuff. Like the first one was like flamboyant and everything, but it wasn't like ridiculously like. I mean, like the bit where Rocket's like flinging these people up in the trees. It was so comical. I mean, it was just more exact. Like they just went in that more ridiculous direction from the first one. But I don't know.
I think this movie lacked a lot of the interesting fight scenes between the Guardians themselves.
Yeah,
like they get in a lot of interesting scraps in the first movie, and they don't really spend a lot of time fighting in this one.
I think the reason for that is like, and one of the things I really liked about the first Guardians was that because we'd waited like 8 movies to see the Avengers come together and have these like little moments together.
Was it really
Guardians,
8?
I think it was. It was a long ass time, and basically I feel like there's probably like 5 or something.
Like 2 Iron Men.
Oh, we just count them.
Captain America.
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Thor. Is that 5?
It was 5. Yeah. All right. I exaggerated a bit there, but like we waited like that long for Avengers to happen.
That was still a long time.
And somehow Guardians of the Galaxy managed to not only introduce these characters in that, but then also deliver these great moments between them all, and deliver it all within one neat package.
My favourite scene in the first Guardians movie is the scene where Rocket gets drunk. Because there's something about the way his character just switches into this very defensive, upset, like...
It was great. I mean, that's one of my favourite scenes where he's, like, threatening everyone. But then, like, his character stays him. Like, you see this, like, little bit of vulnerability, this soreness. You're sympathising with this character that you probably hadn't really sympathised with before. But then he's still Rocket. Like, he's still, like, just pulls a gun on everyone. He's like, I don't care about you guys. Like, but
I think they did a good job of, like, keeping the character fairly... Like, all of the characters felt the same.
Yeah. Well, that was
a bit more evolved.
Well, what I really liked about this, and this is my biggest plus point for me, and was why I came out of the film feeling really good about it, is one of the biggest things that annoyed me about Avengers 2 was how it felt like it was just purely serving the Marvel Universe. It didn't feel like about those characters at all. Like, it was all about getting new characters in and furthering the plot of this. This was a surprising...
I mean, that stuff was there, but it was all very rushed.
Yeah.
Hawkeye got the most characterization.
Hawkeye got the most characterization, and there were like some scenes that really shone, like the farmhouse stuff was like getting there. But then there was for every like shot like that, there was like the Thor pull moment, where it's just like,
which is nothing.
It's let's cram this in. It makes no sense, and it's just so we can say we had like, there's a reason for him to fly in, and anyway.
And hey, Stellan Skarsgård's here. Like, he was in the first one, and Thor. Do you remember him?
Yeah, exactly. And but this film felt like a step even in the other direction from Guardians. Like Guardians 1 felt more of a Marvel tying thing than this one did. Like this more felt like a family affair. This was like this was really good. They took a step back and they went like, let's focus on, let's have something for all of these characters to sort of have between each other. Let's have them actually sort of really develop. And so, I mean, Peter and his dad, that whole thing,
Nebula and Gamora,
Gamora and Peter, Rocket and Yondu, like a surprise like bonding thing there, like,
and even like Drax coming to terms with him losing his family, and the Mantis chick never having a family.
I thought they did, and that was my biggest praise for this film, was that it felt like a work of passion, and like it was like you could tell that they just wanted to tell a really good story for these characters, and to be honest, I can't even really think of much that serves the wider Marvel universe.
Yeah,
there's not much in it, like at all. There's no Infinity Stones in there because
there's a lot of Thanos stuff mentioned.
Yeah, like I mean, they definitely reinforce, that he's there, and Nebula especially is that's her number one goal. But in terms of like pretty much everything else, even the after credits stuff isn't.
No, like that was all self-contained.
Yeah, Adam the Warlock is the
guy in the suit,
the guy the pod at the end, the one that the golden sovereign people.
Jeff Goldblum was in the credits. I think he's playing one of Doctor Strange's enemies.
He's playing the guy in he's playing the guy who's in Thor Ragnarok. He's the Grand Master. He's the one who runs the games.
Oh.
But he was credited in this, was he?
He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. I spotted him on the second time I saw it.
Right.
You know, like in the credit sequence, there were those bubbles and they
Yes.
were dancing in them.
Yeah.
One of them had Jeff Goldblum. In
Oh,
there, just putting
great.
some pose.
Well, the reason... Well, that's...
Hey, I'm here. I crashed the party.
That's awesome because, well, I mean, he's gonna be in it, right? And Thor Ragnarok is ultimately kind of like the Guardians in the fact it's like linking the Marvel universe up to the wider.
Oh, yeah. His character is literally called the Grand Master.
He's he's one of the elders of the universe, like the Collector is. So the Collector is an elder of the universe, and basically they're like people who've got like they lived so long, they got so bored, they like have hobbies. So the Collector is collecting stuff. The Grand Master organizes these like fights and games and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's like one of the big bits in like Thor Ragnarok. Interestingly, he's blue in the comics, but because of what was that character that Jeff Goldblum played, where he's like all painted blue? Anyway, that's the whole reason why he's not blue in this film is because they didn't.
Jeff Goldblum did a film where he was painted all blue.
Yeah, it's like some alien character.
Was it a comedy?
I think it was. It was like when these like aliens come to Earth and they try and assimilate, like that kind of thing.
I was trying to find out who the guy, or the actual character name of the guy who runs the thing in Planet Hulk is called.
Yeah, I think it's Grandmaster.
Yeah, it was the guy on the planet Sakaar. That's the one it's called in the film I watched of it.
Oh, okay.
There's like a really good. Marvel have put out a lot of good animated stuff.
They have actually.
It's kind of light-hearted and kiddie a bit.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty good, and they've done a Planet Hulk, so it was on Netflix, so I watched it.
Oh, was it? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen the Planet. I think I've seen that Planet Hulk movie. That was ages ago. I can't remember it actually.
For like a kids animated thing, it gets pretty dark. I'm not familiar with like the source material,
Yeah.
but I imagine it's a lot darker. And if they do it, they'll make it a lot darker.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, going back to Guardians,
Yes.
a thing that I liked was that they very clearly in the first film, it's all a lot of setup, characters meeting each other, and in this film, even in the first scene you see them, it's like they have evolved into this family.
They've already they're now established.
And just the group becoming a baby thing, sort of a throwaway joke at the end of the last film, is now like a legitimate thing.
It's fully embraced, right?
Changing all of them as people.
I really like that. Like, I like how they just basically went, okay, because we saw them fly off at the end of this thing, and they're going to get into, and now we actually sort of see them halfway through this, right? They're mercenaries. They've clearly done a few missions already. Like, they're kind of known as the Guardians of the Galaxy.
And that first fight where, like, not only the first half of the fight you don't even see because
you're following Baby Groot around.
I love one take looking sequences. So I was thinking of Birdman and like The Revenant.
It was great. It was a fantastic like opener to a film, and like also, I mean, everyone went mental for Baby Groot.
Yeah.
And they just like fully embraced that because they were gonna just have him like grow up by this film, and I'm really pleased they wrote him in as this. Like it had such like it added this whole other side to like so many dynamics, and they had the brilliant scene where he's going around the prison like collecting stuff. Like,
yeah.
Oh god,
Comes back with a desk.
Yeah, that film like the comedic stuff was brilliant. But yeah, I was also surprised at like how many really poignant emotional points there were in it, and like how well woven they were into like none of it really felt that forced. The only like one that felt a bit forced, once again massive spoilers, was like maybe Yondu's like funeral. Like it was kind of this. I really liked the sentiment of like him sacrificing himself for Peter. Really good.
But he did end his big speech by saying, what you need the most is right in front of you all along, which is like a cheesy Saturday morning.
I know.
So maybe it was kind of like, yeah, this is cheesy, but we're going to play it straight because that's kind of what Guardians of the Galaxy is.
I think I know what you mean, but like then the Ravager funeral, and they were there, and there was fireworks, and then the guy's like, it's a Ravager funeral, whoa! And I was just kind of like, I just kind of felt like, I don't know.
Okay, the worst scene of the movie is when, spoilers again, Sylvester Stallone turns up.
I know. Gosh.
And he kicks Yondu out of the Ravagers because of the child smuggling, which is plot relevant.
I mean, he kicked him out years ago. This is like, they just met.
They met at a bar. You know, there were 100 factions, and you're going to lose 99 of them for serving one.
Yeah.
And they get angry at each other, and they have some harsh words, but it basically just boils down to...
Yeah, I know. You think I like kicking you out? Woo!
You're wrong about me.
Yeah. And oh man,
I mean, it's over in 3 minutes, but it's still just really.
What I liked is obviously Vin Diesel, despite only having essentially one line in the film, which is "I am Groot."
But there are a lot of different versions.
Oh
of
yeah,
it.
and don't get me wrong, I like Vin Diesel. This isn't a criticism, but he somehow managed to influence the writing because there was the whole. You're not friends. He's like, no, we're family. I was like, this is like, is this Fast and Furious now? Like, what's going on with this film? Like, I didn't realize Vin Diesel was on the writing board, but apparently he was.
Yeah, and I guess Chris Pratt is gonna die on a trip in space.
Yeah. He's like smashed out of his face and like, it's one of those really weird things on the subject of the Paul Walker thing. Like, get it, the brothers, and it sadly died. But he was doing a really stupid thing. Like he was,
yeah.
Like he was. I know he wasn't drunk driving, but he was drunk with his friend who was drunk, and they were like racing around the streets. Right? As far as I understand it, is what happens.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm gonna go. I know he died in a
I'm
car,
almost certain
and I
that's
think there was drink involved.
Yeah, so it wasn't.
But imagine that if you're drunk with Paul Walker and he says, "Let's go and drive some cars real fast." I think the last thing that you think is gonna happen is that you both die in a car.
Yeah,
crash.
that's true. But the thing is that.
What are the odds?
Yeah. Oh gosh, dear. But anyway, so that happened, and so yeah, I don't like. But anyway, I also watched Fast and Furious 8.
Have you seen all of them?
I've not, and in fact, this is like because I didn't see 7 because 7 was obviously the big one where everyone was like, oh, it's like really emotional and poignant. I've seen the first one. I think I've seen Tokyo Drift, and
Have you seen the Fast Five?
No.
That's the one where I think The Rock turns up first time.
Oh, is that like the first appearance of The Rock?
Yeah.
Well, what I didn't realise is that The Rock...
Kai made me watch it.
Just a name drop.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
But the thing is, like... I mean, and this is like kind of... It's a weird one, and I think this goes back to my sort of general attitudes about films, is if there's a complex story told well, they're my favourite type of films. But they are so difficult to tell well that most of them end up being contrived in some way, or I feel let down by the end. And in fact, actually, to a certain extent, I think also telling a really simple story well is better than trying to tell a complex story and failing. Like, and Fast and the Furious is what it is. Like, it's pure cheese, and I can't really fault it for that. Like, I think it's pretty... I was gonna say it's self-aware, but no, it takes itself so seriously. It's like ridiculous.
But it's kind of like they're at the point now where they've sort of thrown caution in the wind.
Yes.
And they don't mind doing the most impractical, impossible stunts if it means that it makes a good movie.
Oh yeah, and
I feel like there is an undercurrent of self-awareness.
I think as a franchise, yes, the writing isn't self-aware. Like they never really take that. They never point out how ridiculous it is. Maybe like Ludacris does. Like maybe he's like their kind of like fourth wall breaking esque, but it's never fourth wall breaking. But it's just he points out how ridiculous.
I don't know. I think Ludacris does what he's told. Like,
I'm not saying I'm not.
Come at me, Ludacris.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying he does it as like a clever thing for him, but I feel like his character.
No, sorry. I just wanted to take a shot at him because he once said that Ludacris is a character.
Oh.
Like so the stuff he says in his raps, like I don't know. Sorry.
I didn't realize. I didn't mean to bring up any hard feelings, Aiden. I'm sorry.
I used to really like Ludacris, but then he teamed up with Justin Bieber, and it's been
downhill from there. Yeah, well, I can understand that.
But the good thing about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is that the soundtrack doesn't have Ludacris on it.
It doesn't have Ludacris on it.
It has an awesome use of The Chain, Fleetwood Mac.
Right, yeah, this is the song that I've recently just like re-fell in love. Like I've listened to it so much, like in the last day, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
like,
it's really good.
It's a great song, and like I
didn't even play like the awesome part of it at the end. Like I thought when it came back.
Oh, it was gonna be the bow, yeah, the classic like the outro riff, like yeah.
But there's that whole thing of the chorus just being there. Okay, so Peter Quill has a connection to the light, which comes from Ego, and Ego turns evil.
Yeah.
Kills his mum in the past, breaks his Walkman in the present.
Yeah.
And when Yondu falls in battle, at the final battle of the scene, he says, "I don't use my head, I use my heart."
Yeah, like well, no, because they're Yeah, no, because when they're discussing it on the ship, because he's like, "Oh, I made a ball of light."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, right." He
That's
goes,
it.
"Yeah," and he's like, I imagined a ball of light," and he's like, "Oh, you think when I control my arrow, I use my head?"
Yeah.
There's that hint, and then he goes back and like says it again, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta think with my heart." Like,
So at that point, he has been impaled by the light.
Yeah.
Because Ego's plan is to use Peter Quill, who is his son, as a battery to expand his consciousness across the universe and dominate everything.
yeah,
So Peter Quill is able to take control of the light,
yeah,
and he says, "You should have never killed my mum, and you shouldn't have broke my Walkman."
yeah.
And the music comes back, and boom, he's in the fight.
Yeah, and it's so punchy. Like, I really loved it.
We would never break the chain, and it's like he is undoing his father's like legacy and his big plan for him. It's like
It's really good. I mean, it is such a great moment, and that's the song I've been like. Overall, I didn't like the soundtrack as much as the other one. I feel like a lot of the songs used there hadn't permeated to the UK as
it
much.
didn't feel like there were as many songs
Like,
either.
No, Mr. Blue Sky was a great choice for the opener. Really like that song. It works really well with the beginning.
And Surrender at the end.
Yeah.
Cheap Trick.
Yeah, and there were a couple of moments, but like I feel like the first one just had a better all round soundtrack. It was more like punchy and like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to.
Cherry Bomb was like a great moment as well. Like, it just
yeah,
had
when
so
they go
many.
into battle. Yeah, it's such a good sequence.
Yeah.
And
So I don't feel like the actual
Come and
volume
Get Your
2,
Love.
the actual volume 2 bit was like that better. But
I'm glad that the music is still important. It's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a big part of his character.
And I was thinking, you do think like how are they going to continue this? And this is obviously your segue was to the Zune. Really like that. It's such a good like because
When it broke, when his dad broke it, I said to myself, "It's all right. You can just get an iPod now. Like it's all digital."
yeah.
And when he said, "Oh, we've got something for you," I was like, "I bet it's going to be an MP3 player, definitely an iPod." And
Yeah.
so there was a bit of like,
What made me laugh is like because they just had a joke in it. But the brilliant thing is, I bet you like Zune sales boom like that like these vintage like crappy Zune players will be
like the technology is so advanced now that maybe having an MP3 player would be retro.
yeah.
Because
Oh, it is. It basically is anyway, isn't it? Because like who has a separate MP3 player really nowadays?
it's like 15-year-old outdated technology.
Yeah.
Of course
Well, nowadays people pretty much they have their phone and you just have an app that does like streaming, right? Because I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's changed so much. Like the idea of an iPod Touch is so.
Sorry, we mentioned devices, and I just like had that
It's
instinct.
like, where's
of
my phone? Like,
I get nightmares about leaving YouTube autoplay on when I go out of the house and play videos. It's bad.
why?
Because if it autoplays, then I don't turn it off, and sometimes it just keeps going
Oh right, yeah, I see what you're saying.
onto like 3-hour
Yeah.
montages of All Star with all of the vowels taken out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There are some things that the internet just goes crazy over, and that's one of them. All Star by Smash Mouth. It's
So many memes.
so many memes. But yeah, no, there's so much to like about Guardians. I'm trying to think of things that I didn't like. I mean, I there wasn't really a point in the film where I wasn't enjoying myself, which is something to be said for it. It's a great film. But I have to say that I feel like, and this is kind of what I was saying about a complex thing done badly. Whenever there's this like sort of pretty highbrow kind of aspect to a film, I kind of get excited about the potential of where it could go. And one of those things was Ego, and I love the idea of the living planet. I find something kind of goosebumpy about the Celestials. I really like Marvel's kind of
The light.
yeah, I really like Marvel's kind of extended universe, like by extended universe I just mean like the away from Earth stuff, because I like that they've set up this kind of like there are just these ancient beings, like there are people like the Elders, the Celestials, that are just these like they've always been. They don't even know where they came from, a bit like us, but like they're just millions of years old. And even like as Guardians, they're the idea that our gods were actually just another race that came and intervened with Earth's past. I really like that because it's kind of
It's a neat way of tying a lot of things together.
but it's also not like implausible. Like it's one of those things where it's kind of like I can kind of like dig it in some way because there's no reason why like life on Earth couldn't have come from like a meteor or whatever. Like that's kind of pretty legit. And obviously, like I believe.
How do you think? Let's have a podcast bit
What?
called "How do you think everything came to be?"
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a really light-hearted, bantery. Like,
Okay, so the next episode is going to be a 4-hour-long discussion where we discuss how we think the universe happened
great idea. Yeah.
from the Big Bang to the Big Bang Theory.
Oh, ultimately all downhill, really, isn't it? That, that's what a horror. Like, I feel like, I mean, the universe does have conscience because we are part of the universe, but like
Conscience or consciousness?
both.
Okay.
So anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about, which was my idea of this like highbrow. So anyway, really liked Ego as the living planet. He made a manifestation of himself. And like I love this whole like he had no purpose. He like wanted to invent purpose, like everyone does. And I was like, this is like really really good.
See,
And
there
then-
are some versions of the comic where like Ego the Living Planet, not Peter Quill's dad.
Oh no, and not even just some versions. It's like on like the official Marvel like canon stuff. Like it's not even mentioned as like Peter Quill's dad in the comics is some other guy.
I think he's called Jason, and he's from like a
They just
race of people called Spartans, I think.
they've just completely got rid of that plot. Like
Yeah.
which I'm massively like because I immediately went and read up on Ego. Comics is not celestial. Right.
So Celestial is a new thing.
So, no, Celestials aren't. So what they've done is they've combined. So they've started bringing Celestials in through this. So what they've done. So right, I'll quickly give a brief overview, really brief overview. Ego in the comic was a living planet. He built himself up for nothing like he does in the film, but he's not a Celestial. And he does, and basically he has these kind of plots, and one of them was to go and spread himself through the universe, right? So that was kind of like
butter.
like butter, yeah. So
He's a big knife.
so in a weird way, that is like that plot. So they
And
took
as
that.
Drax confirmed, he did have a big knife.
He did have a figure, but that's one of the things that like they took from the comics. That like that plot line of like so that was his plot line that they took for the comics. But he's not a Celestial. But the Celestials are these ancient beings that have been around for like ever. But they're about 2,000 feet tall humanoids, and they're in armor, and no one's ever seen what they look like under the armor.
Right.
And they're these ancient beings, and they basically are there to like shepherd other races through. Like they were known to get involved with genetic experimentation. So they in the comics they came to Earth 4 times to like check up and kind of alter human history. And they like genetically experimented, and it's kind of where like the mutant gene came from, like the benevolent gene came from them, like their genetic experimentation. So that they basically took that idea of like the Celestials being around forever and doing the genetic sort of experimentations and combined it with Ego. So it's like Ego is now Celestial who did all this genetic experimentation, like obviously looking for this like child
Right.
that had the Celestial ability as well, like trying to make more of himself. So they combined the two. And
And
it's
I-
quite kind of neat. It was-
I wasn't too perturbed or distracted by the fact that they had changed his origin,
yeah.
because I felt like thematically it made sense.
Oh, it was great.
The fact that the guy is called Ego as well, and
Yeah.
like
Yes.
you see a lot of Peter Quill in Kurt Russell's performance.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of that same smugness, like dropping some hard bombshells about I want to be your dad, but now I'm gonna take a whiz.
Yes.
Like that's
yeah.
very Chris Pratt,
It's really good.
Star Lord esque.
It's really good. But my disappointment from when like it got a bit too explainy for my liking, and like when it's just a bit like
You got a lot of legwork
it's
to
just
do
it's
once
just
you
like
get
the
to his
mid
planet.
it's just like the midichlorian stuff. I think there was a lot they could have just done without having to say it, and it kind of didn't make sense. It's like, oh, you defeat it. It just kind of came down to that big like you do this and it dies kind of thing, and I don't know. That there was a bit of murkiness there, but other than that, solid film.
Yeah, I really liked the light as a concept.
Yeah,
I liked the
it's something he's tapping into, like you're tapping into. It's
and
like,
the thing of like Ego has this vision of what he wants the world to be, and he literally shows it to Peter Quill. His eyes glaze over,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh my!" He's in awe of how beautiful this thing is.
Yeah,
And then as soon as that bombshell is dropped, he's like, "I killed your parents."
yeah.
Eyes change back, guns come out.
Oh man,
And
that's
it's on.
that scene where he just like tore him apart. It's like, yeah, it's badass. Like, it's really good. Great film. Anyway,
You would think when you have a villain who can create versions of himself,
Yeah.
and like he just built one body, you would think that they would build a whole bunch of bodies so that the Guardians have people to fight.
So this is
and
kind
they
of
didn't do that.
so, but this is kind of what
That's
I.
not a criticism. It's
No,
I think it's a
no.
brave way of just cutting through a bunch of unnecessary stuff.
Well, I mean, it's true. They also decided to bring the Sovereigns back and keep them part of the relevant part of the plot. Have them be like the mass swarm they were fighting. It was one of the things that did bother me because like, so he can shape matter and create this planet for himself, but like he needed Pete like one extra somehow was like in like. Is it exponential? Is it like if there's two of them, it's like 4 times better.
The way
Like,
I thought of it was that if he built another body, that's still just coming from the amount of
I see
stuff.
what
It's
you're
like you're taking the same one power and you're splitting it into two.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Like, this is like a new celestial body. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But that just kind of felt a bit weird. I was like, all right, I don't really get why Peter is like so key to his plan, but I'll go with it.
He's key to his plan because there needs to be some kind of conflict for the heroes. To come together. They could have just easily written it as like he copies himself and it works,
and the universe is over. It's film done. No, it was really good. Like, sort of minor sort of unexplained bits aside, really solid film.
I think the scene I had a problem with, which I think was still a good scene, but Chris Pratt's character displays a lot of skepticism and emotional distance when he first meets his dad, and then they play catch once with their new abilities, and then he's literally saying to Gamora, "You don't understand. You're trying to take this away from me."
Yeah, I know. It was such a quick turnaround.
But then he says the stuff about this isn't Cheers. This is the scene. This is the show where one person is ready to open up and the other person is a jerk. And I was like, that's a really good line. If you just had that interaction instead of this other stuff, great, perfect scene.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I like to think they were there for a little while as well on the planet. Maybe like it wasn't just like in a day, but I don't know.
Well, I guess if you watched and paid attention, like if you watched with that in mind, you'd probably see how much time they spend there, because I think they're shown quarters at one point.
Yeah.
And then another scene, Drax is woken up.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you paid attention specifically to that thing, you could
get
work
a time frame. But it was also because there's a lot of stuff going on in parallel with like the Ravagers
like
and Rocket and stuff, like repairing the ship. So I think
he gets taken before they even get to Ego's planet.
and there's an entire mutiny. There's a lot that goes on. So I mean, it leads me to believe that it goes on for like a little bit of time, maybe like a week or something. I don't know, but I thought it was like just really good direction. Like I genuinely thought it was gonna be more. I don't know. I just thought it was more punchy, like more emotional than the first one. They were really good, like great direction for it. And I'm just, like I said, think that what I'm most glad of it just wasn't like universe serving. Like obviously it still is in some sense. The fact you've got these characters that are now going to still link back in, but I really thought they were just going to try and tie it in with like Doctor Strange or something. I don't know. Like
it was good because all you needed to do to enjoy this film was have seen the first Guardians movie.
True.
As long as you know who everyone is, where they've come from.
See, this is the problem. Like showing like Civil War did a pretty good job of like still probably being enjoyable if you hadn't seen the other films. But there's no getting away from it. That like just so much of it came, like so much of the enjoyability came from having seen the previous stuff. Like all the in jokes, like when these characters are interacting, it doesn't come from earlier in on that film. It comes from other films.
Yeah.
You know, like when especially like Ant-Man, for example, when he's there and he's like, you know, talking about being a thief. Like
he has that little moment with what's his name, Wingman.
Yeah, Falcon. Yeah, because he beat him up in the No Hard Feelings, right? Like
Wingman would be such a better name than Falcon.
Falcon. Yeah, but so that you're right. That is nice. Like Guardians feels like its own self-contained little Marvel like.
Yeah, I'm a little bit anxious about when it's all going to cross over. I think
it's because they're a group already. But I had that anxiety before Civil War, because like I don't think Avengers really nailed it. Avengers 2, sorry, I don't think Avengers 2 really nailed the mixing that much. But then like Civil War was like way more cast, and they really nailed it. I mean, it really was great. It was a really enjoyable film.
I think taking Thor and Banner out of the mix, basically they had an Avengers movie where 2 of them were missing, and that allowed more other characters to step up.
And I think ultimately that's what you're gonna see in the Infinity War films. Like that's why you've got 2, and I think you're gonna kind of see what happens in the comics a lot, which is where the team is way more dynamic. It's kind of like there's these 5 in this location. That's what they're dealing with. There's this lot in this location. That's what they're dealing with, and they won't come together all on screen until maybe one big battle scene, I think.
I can't wait for the vampires. Marvel have the rights to Blade.
Oh.
They haven't announced what they're doing with it, but imagine if they did a really awesome Blade TV series.
Oh, man. Yeah, because they've got the Punisher.
Vampires in New York.
Damn.
How awesome would that be?
Oh, there's like so much like, I mean, I really hope that more companies see the way that Sony's. I mean, that's just because Sony's doing so badly, and the Spider-Man franchise went so badly wrong for them that like this just made sense money wise. And Fox, unfortunately,
20th Century Fox. I feel like they're going to get away with just raping the Fantastic Four until
Well-
someone steps in and forces them to give it back.
The thing is, I feel like Fantastic Four's has been tarnished so much now that maybe that's the one they would lend out. But the problem is, like, it's not necessarily a problem because they're still great films. But
all it needs to be great is it doesn't even need to be great in of itself. If Marvel has it, it just has to slot in.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
I know.
mean? It's like
so I feel like Fantastic Four like is the most Marvel like belonging one. Like X-Men, I feel as a on-screen presence has made enough of a footprint itself that it would almost feel weird at this point to like start introducing the mutants back into the Avengers because I know it belongs there. Like, don't
it
get me wrong,
belongs
like-
there, and I kind of agree with you, and I know what you're saying because
But what I'm saying is just like as a visual, in the same way that like,
I
like,
mean
egos, like,
Logan's
change.
done now. You know,
Yeah.
what's his name? Hugh Jackman says
Yeah.
he's not going to do the role anymore.
I mean, it's a
Patrick
great.
Stewart has said he's not going to do
Yeah.
the role anymore.
It's a great opportunity to start afresh. But I just feel like
Deadpool is going to keep him going.
yeah, exactly. So Deadpool is like that big thing, and I just feel like I don't know. I just think X-Men's been too big for them. That just when the board are looking at it, and I agree. I'd love to see them in the Marvel films, but I feel like it's made such an on-screen presence now, and it's made so much money for them that they will ride that. They will ride that. Just like from a money perspective, they'll go, look, why would you do this?
Yeah, I mean, the movies don't even have to be good. They just
No.
have to be making enough money to not to.
So many
Not
Wolverine
them.
films. Like I've not seen all of them, but I've just heard like not great stuff.
The only X-Men film I have not seen is X-Men Apocalypse.
I really didn't see that one.
Started watching it, and then something happened, and I just stopped watching it.
Okay.
Not like something in the film, just something must have happened because at some point.
Like you put Port like had to answer the door, and it was like enough to take you away from that film. It
Or,
wasn't.
or I just looked at another screen for a bit, looked back
It-
at X-Men, and went, "What the hell is this thing doing?"
It was an alright film. Like it had that syndrome, and this is kind of what I was like saying is like why it was one of my biggest praises of Guardians of the Galaxy. So what happens with these sorts of films is they try and like outdo themselves in action and sacrifice
Character and story.
like substance basically, and that's exactly what Apocalypse was. Like even Days of Future Past, like so, what was the first one called? Like the first one of that.
First Class.
First Class, like that was really grounded, like pretty small scale, and it was a lot of character development and not a lot of like fight scenes, right?
Yeah.
And then the second one had that kind of good balance between the two. It was definitely
Some of
up
the
and-
stuff Magneto did in First Class was pretty badass, though.
Oh, it was
That
yeah.
scene where he took those Nazis out and with that
Yeah,
knife, that was
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, like, but yeah, great act. But this is kind of what I was like mean. Like they go for bigger spectacles, and Apocalypse was just unfortunately that like they just kind of got rid of these like where they could have had like really great character moments. They just replaced with a big shot of like destruction.
And let's introduce 20 mutants at once.
Yeah, and it's just so horrible.
Who are these people? Why do I care?
Yeah,
I mean,
and-
I know who most of them are, but like,
Yeah, and it was just a bit of a whimper to an otherwise good like trilogy essentially. You know, this line of like essentially prequels, like, you know.
yeah, and I felt like they tied it back to the old continuity really well in Future Past.
I know. It was that was such a good film. Like, but this is kind of what my praise for Guardians comes from is this like they didn't do that. They went for more substance if anything. Like, so I genuinely felt like probably Guardians 1's kind of like ending was way more like on a grand scale. Like, you know, like
I mean, they saved the universe in this one, but it felt to me like narratively they didn't necessarily need to save the universe.
Oh, it was one of these weird things where like the actual looming threat, and this is kind of what like once again I feel it's more of a merit actually. Like the looming threat was kind of like yeah, sure they showed like shots of planets. So Earth had a big blob on it.
A
and
McDonald's got blown up in Missouri.
yeah. Oh no, not a McDonald's. And
I liked it when people ran away from it, and then you see them like people standing there gawking with cameras,
and then it starts again. They're like, oh,
Why did we stand here?
Yeah, you're right. Like, what are we doing, guys? Like, but no, it's in fact the threat wasn't really there. Whereas the other one, you had like Xandar being attacked, and it was like proper like onslaught. He had an Infinity Stone. There was Thanos in the movie. Like, it was way more like Doombringer than actually this one. This one was kind of like, by the way, they're saving the universe, but hey, there's this like little family drama going on. Like,
Yeah, I think so much of that probably comes from Thanos being at least partially set up in the Avengers movies.
I just think, yeah,
So even if you don't really know who he is, you know that this thing that they're going up against
they
is going to
mention
get to Earth
yeah.
eventually.
Oh yeah, it's good. Like you kind of get that it's just going on in the universe, right?
So in a way, the events of Guardians 1 tie back to things in terms of story, but Guardians 2 has to resort to showing you people running away from an explosion to let you know that it's happening.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was. I thought it was as a film just really well done.
Yeah, I liked it more than the first movie. I feel like a lot of the relationships had a lot more depth to them.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed all of the stuff with Nebula and Gamora.
Yeah.
Particularly, I like that their relationship is not as simple as Nebula is evil and Gamora is good.
It's really good. In fact, actually, that was one of my standout because that actually doesn't develop till quite a lot later in the film. That really just kind of kicks off towards the end.
They're kind of shitty to each other at the start.
Yeah, and you got the mutiny because obviously they capture her, she escapes. But it doesn't really manifest itself till later on, and it's really good. It's really emotionally charged. It was so good, and it's so sad because they're so dysfunctional, both of them, right? They are basically torture victims. They're they don't know
children.
They basically don't know how to express themselves, and so when it does come out, it's really tragic. It's really, really sad, and I don't know. And I really like Nebula as well.
So Nebula drives a spaceship into a cave trying to kill Gamora, crashes, but her cannon falls off.
Yeah,
and Gamora opens fire on Nebula's flaming ship, and it's almost like that's not a heroic thing to do. It's subtle. But you get the sense that Gamora has been turned into a weapon.
Oh yeah,
way that.
But even if you just see
Nebula was.
her resistance to being emotional with Quill, right? It's just this whole kind of super defensive, and also just very reacts with anger a lot. And so you see when she's I think she was trying to kill her, but then she's like, "What am I doing?" and then saves her. It's this kind of just total dysfunction. It doesn't,
But there could be a version of that scene where Nebula crashes her ship and it still blows up and she still falls through the thing.
Yeah.
And Gamora's character would be a little cleaner.
Yeah.
I like that it's subtle and it's quick, but there are these moments there.
She picks up a massive ship cannon,
and she doesn't really even look that angry when she's doing it. She looks calm and focused on
this
is how I'm taking you down, bitch.
But it's because the whole life, that's their relationship. They fight. That's when they're together, they fight. That's what they do. Super sad though. Thanos just the bit where she's describing her eye being pulled from her socket and her arm being pulled. And,
every time my sister prevailed, a piece of my body was taken from me.
Oh,
it's interesting.
She's great though.
Her being set free and just being this force of she's a bit fucked up and she's a bit evil, but she has it in for Thanos.
He's the bad guy,
the most evil person.
I love it. Even at the end, she's
gonna be chaotic
she's
good or something.
She's hugging. She's basically chaotic good, right?
Yeah.
She's they hug at the end, and she's like, "Oh, you can kind of join us." They didn't have a. She just was like, "No, yeah, bye." Yeah. She's she's still just I'm gonna kill Thanos.
I will help them by killing Thanos.
Yeah, exactly. She's awesome. She's gonna have a day in the Infinite War. She's gonna be great. Really good character.
She has to be the one who finally does it in. I think.
Do you reckon?
I reckon it's going to be one of those things where...
She's got the most emotional charge to wanting to end him. Everyone else is doing it as a defense for the galaxy. She is
she will kill him
daddy issues.
by self-destructing her robot body.
Yeah.
That will be the full circle of dramatic. I'm calling it now.
She probably... yeah. Alright.
It is Tuesday. That's not specific enough.
9:08.
2nd of May, 2017.
9:08 in the evening. And you're calling that.
I'm calling the end of Infinity War.
Nebula kills Thanos. It would be great. I really hope they do a justice rather than giving a bigger star screen time. Because she has the most personal connection. The Guardians have the most personal connection at the moment to Thanos and his whole arc. Easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only film that we've seen it in other than the Avengers end credits.
I guess Thor maybe would be second because his conflict with Loki
is kind of being done with.
That was Thanos used Loki's anger towards him as a vehicle to attack Earth, which is his realm.
Oh no, I mean I guess the Avengers was all initiative anyway. Yeah, it's true.
I mean they don't really know about Thanos, but they know there's an alien threat.
Yeah. Damn. Well, this
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to how they execute it, and I think it's in good hands anyway.
I wonder if they'll bring in all of the TV Jessica Jones Iron Fist stuff, even if it's just for like a scene of them all fighting together.
Maybe I feel like it's got to be more of a nod. It's gonna be too messy if they try and do it in any meaningful way. I feel like what you're probably gonna end up with is like a scene in that, and then they actually maybe do a series like set in the back with the background in the Infinity War going on, and maybe they tell their like on the ground story of those heroes. That would be pretty neat.
In terms of the overall Marvel universe as well, like no one really cares about Jessica Jones. No one cares about Iron Fist, but Luke Cage and Daredevil, like those guys are a big deal.
They are a big deal. Yeah. I don't know.
Luke Cage more than Daredevil, but they're still a big deal.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I feel like they've sort of purposely distanced the TV series from the rest of them, though.
But in the internal logic of the world, like Luke Cage is basically an indestructible man. Why doesn't he have Hawkeye's job?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Why has he not been put in the Avengers? Yeah.
Imagine how different Civil War would have been. Just knocking people around.
True, but this is it, right? Like they've got a lot of big players now, and it's actually kind of embarrassing because like they always have to find this way of like making like an even playing ground, but or like to make all the characters kind of worth it. And like obviously they really struggle with kind of Hawkeye and Black Widow are essentially like support characters the whole way, and like Falcon and stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's a little bit.
They're no like Captain America, right?
In Avengers 2, the scene where they're all keeping the robots away from the thing in the middle, it's kind of like it's a good scene and the battle scene is awesome, but it's like, are you really telling me that Hawkeye and Black Widow can kill things at the rate of
and they're basically not, are they? Like, and the thing I kind of like about Falcon is he's pretty self-admitting that he's not like they know they're not up there, right? They know they're like
War Machine as well.
They know they're like second class. It's like when they're telling the story, like he's telling the story at the party, and he's like, that kills anywhere else. Like what? Because he knows.
He tells it later, and everyone laughs.
And everyone
he's not enjoying the moment because he's like
he knows there's an audience there that this is doing nothing for. Like
he's a superhero to the regular people at the party, but among the superheroes, he feels insecure.
Like
his story's bomb.
Yeah, it's he literally bombed
well.
later. Yeah. But this is it. Like I feel like, yeah, and that's gonna be like one of the interesting things because now we've got crazy big like players on the field. Like, Okoye lost his celestial powers, but you've got, Doctor Strange is like arguably one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel universe. I mean, he's like something else, like in terms of the comic book lore anyway, with his whole like transdimensional.
I'll bring my top trumps next time we do this. He's on there.
Is he? And we'll compare the stats.
Like, I had those cards as a kid, and I remember going through them, and I was just like, I don't know who any of these people are.
I know.
And now it's like all of them exist.
I know. And this is what I really, because even Iron Man, like if you look at, because that was their one they hedged their bets on to try and reboot, like because they basically looked to go, right, which ones haven't we solved the movie rights for? And they were like, right, we're getting the Hulk back because like that sucked so hard. And now we've got Iron Man, like because they didn't have any X-Men, they didn't have like they didn't have Fantastic Four, they didn't have Spider-Man. Like these are big things. So
I don't think they had Captain America at one point.
Oh no, they didn't have
Captain
America.
They got that really early on.
Yeah. So they were like, right, Iron Man, because Iron Man, like, yeah, sure, he's been around like in the kids' TV shows, and I kind of knew of him mainly because there was a skin.
He was in games as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a skin of him in Tony Hawk, I think.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really good. That's
there was a Wolverine one as well.
Yeah.
In one of the sequels.
Yeah. And yeah, so like, I kind of knew of him from that. So, but he wasn't like he wasn't up there. Like, he's not like, there weren't kids dressing at him at the time. You couldn't go to a store. You could buy a Batman costume. You could buy a Spider-Man costume, like buy a Hulk costume, but you couldn't go out and buy an Iron Man helmet.
I think because of the success of the Marvel things, I think he's up there now.
Like, he's up there now.
I see kids all the time
but
rocking Iron Man.
This is like what's
shirts,
so crazy about like what Marvel have done. And like why they're so comfortable bringing out people like Adam the Warlock, because like they're actually like we've got such a big like cast of people here that we don't need these big like name rights. Actually, we could probably make a really good, like, there's so much to draw on, and they only need to like really nail that like origin story, the way they just need to nail how they introduce them, and people love them.
And I think they have. I don't
Oh,
think
yeah,
they made
like-
a bad movie where they introduce a character.
Like, it's one of these things where, like, on paper, I kind of, like, hate them for doing it because it's, like, a big franchise. I'm, like, generally against that stuff. I'm like, they're clearly milking it for
oh
money.
yeah, one movie a year, Assassin's Creed. Oh,
Yeah.
you're just getting the same
Yeah,
thing over
but, like,
and over
but,
and over again.
But the thing is, like, that's not inherently bad. It's bad because it usually comes along with bad content and rush stuff. But they're nailing this. Like, they're just, like, knocking it out the park.
when it gets bad, I'll just stop watching it.
Yeah.
But I don't think
It's
it has
not.
yet.
And in fact, I'm enjoying it more now. Like, because after around Avengers 2, I was like, all right, I'm like, I can't see this getting to Infinity War without me being bored.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, you know what? I almost don't care about this like old school cast as much. I'm now like super invested in like Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy. Like I really like
I think that's all. Like, I think Avengers 2 needed to happen so that other characters could come to the
Yeah.
forefront. I mean, the thing I mentioned
super
earlier about
excited
Thor
about,
and Banner being out of the mix.
what's his name?
Black Panther.
No, he's gonna be great. I'm really excited about his movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
he killed it in Civil War.
He was so good.
Awesome.
And like especially just like how they pretty much gave him like one of the best scenes of the film where he's like the living aren't finished with you yet. Like, oh, he's like such badass. Like,
And then he's all like, "Oh, your shield's vibranium. My country makes vibranium,
Yeah.
motherfucker."
yeah, like he's such a cool, calm, collected character. Like when he's oh man, like even the fact he like takes in Bucky and Cap like at the end.
Yeah, like a full redemption thing. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
like really cool. Right, we have 5 minutes before we hit the hour, and we've managed to fill a majority of that with like movie talk.
Okay, so who is your favorite Guardian of the Galaxy?
Damn, wasn't ready for that. I don't know. That's really tough. I really like Nebula as a character, but she's not really Guardians of the Galaxy.
I would say she counts at this point.
You reckon?
She fought alongside
I
them.
really like her. I feel like I'm just like weirdly attached to her. Like I really like her. Like she's just had a lot to go through, and I feel like that makes her for a really good character. In terms of just like who do I enjoy most on screen?
I think the thing I like about Nebula is that a great villain is always a character that would be like the most useful if they came over to your side.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's so nice to see versus Thor and Loki, where it's like Loki is never going to be a good guy unless they turn him into a kid.
Yeah.
You know, like Nebula, there is a legitimate chance of redemption,
like
but she's not going to.
She's
stop
like
being
she's
mental.
bad because of like basically conditioning. She's not inherently bad. She's just like she's been conditioned that way. But there's like you say she's chaotic, and there's that ability to like win her over.
I think Winter Soldier is my favorite, like Avengers side of it, and I think
really.
I think I like a similar thing to those personalities. Like
Yeah, I see
they
what you're
have they can do a lot of harm, and they have done a lot of harm.
Yeah.
But it's never their fault.
Yeah, I know, right? Our favorite, I don't know. See, I like I like Peter Quill, but he's like a bit. I don't know.
He's a very likable character.
It's annoying because I'm just thinking of all of them, and I really don't want to pick one above the other because I really enjoy them. Like I just enjoy their on screen. I really like Rocket actually. I really like, and probably for a similar reason to Nebula. Like if I had to pick one of the core team, I really like Rocket because he's got a lot going on for him from that side of things too. Like he's got a pretty tragic past. He's hiding a lot of pain. And it also just super bad. Like he's so cool. Like he's just
And he's also like, as well as being very useful in combat and being very aggressive and being drunk and surly, he like builds things. He's the engineer. He makes all the gadgets. Like,
oh, he's super effective. Like he's really good at what he does. He basically never fluffs it. Like he does socially though, which is like great comedic value too. Like,
oh man, the writing in Guardians 2 is so good.
It is
So you
really
have
good.
this thing about Peter Quill believes the lie of why Yondu took him. Yondu was hired by Ego to ship kids, and he realized that they were all dying, so he keeps Peter Quill.
Yeah.
But he tells him that he's small and he can fit into spaces.
and that's because like to protect himself as a Ravager, protect himself emotionally as well, and also just like not and
Give
to
him
kind
an-
of hide that truth behind.
and to give him an excuse to like raise this kid and to have like,
Yeah.
and then later on in the film, they have to put a bomb on Ego's brain, but none of them can get through the gap apart from Baby Groot. So because he's small and can fit into spaces, they keep him around, and it's almost like that is symbolic of like Peter Quill's transition into fatherhood. And
I also
stuff.
really like how Baby Groot, like, because they're obviously calling him that just because he's like tiny, but he really was like the baby of the family. Like at the beginning when he like starts eating a bug and then Rocket flies down mid-fight, it's just like, don't eat that, that's disgusting. Like flies back off. It's just like, it's brilliant. You get the sense he's a real liability.
Maybe we'll end on me talking about how much I love that opening scene. But you see each of the characters interacting with Groot and revealing who they are. So Peter Quill comes down first. He says something like, "You should get out of here, Groot," and then he gets hit by a tentacle.
Yeah.
So he's like sloppy, but he cares. And then you have Gamora, who says, she shoots the thing, and she's like, "Get out of here, you're gonna get hurt." So, and she's like
mothering him.
but then she smiles and says something like, "Hi," and then it's like the end. So she's surly and aggressive, but she's sweet underneath.
Yeah, and then she shoots and actually does something useful. She doesn't like get hit, does she? I don't think.
The rocket thing you mentioned when he knocks the bug out of his hand.
Yeah.
And also the thing with Drax where he's dancing and Drax looks at him. It's that gag again.
They've got that dynamic. Yeah, it's like I like the idea because initially it was like him kind of. You kind of felt like you were hiding that because it was almost like they might not have known he was alive at the point, and like Groot's kind of hiding it, like playing a game. But now I like the fact that it's still like a running thing between them two, like.
And at the end of the film, when Drax embraces Groot, it's a sweet moment because he's opening himself up to.
Well, they're always fighting. Like every time they see each other, they're like having a scrap. They're like brothers, like kind of going at each other. I think is what's kind of cool.
He gets thrown into the speaker, and Groot attacks him, and it's like, it's great.
Mm.
I really enjoyed just that opening sequence, and then how it transitioned into a more traditional battle scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then you actually get to see them working together and strategizing, and what a great way to just hit the ground running and show you that these characters that they've still got them. They've still got them right.
Oh, it was brilliant. Good film.
My favorite Guardian of the Galaxy is Gamora.
Is it?
I'm really into Gamora at the moment.
See, it's an interesting one. I don't know whether we should even start this tangent, but
no, go for it.
I don't know what it is. Like she's fine, but like I don't know. Like there's not a lot about her that like really grips me. I don't know. I don't know why. She's just not grabbed me as much as the others.
I think it's the dark side, the kind of dark side of her that I like, and this sort of. I think it's very typical to take a Han Solo sort of cocky, roguish character and pair them up with a surly, sort of almost bossy woman. Yeah, that's a very common dynamic.
Bit of a trope, yeah.
Yeah, it's very tropey, but I think there's something about, and maybe this is just being informed about her upbringing and knowing like what Thanos does to people. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like it's a trope played straight, and it's still authentic to those characters.
And I think ultimately there's like.
She will dance. Like she is a dancer.
Yeah, I know. But usually those surly, like strong women, they always felt like they were written in there. Maybe as some like feminist point or whatever, but also just kind of like I don't know. There wasn't really a reason why they were like that. That's it, right? But she's like that because of basically of abuse, right?
Yeah.
That's such a deeper, better dynamic than just like she knows what she wants. Kind of she's play hard to get. She's not playing hard to get. She just is dysfunctional, right?
And she's also like she would fail as being a true feminist archetype because she was made that way by a man.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like
No, but that's what I really like about it. And like you say, she is a dancer and
complexity.
She has, there is complexity there, and that's I think what's really nice about this film is like on the surface of it, it's a big, super over the top space romp, but like, hang on, there's like these great moments in it, like really great, very very deep, meaningful moments behind characters that you've actually had develop, and that ultimately makes a good film. That's like that's actually sure the setting's a bit over the top. It's very colourful.
There's a lot of camp. But I think.
But oh my god! Like the for every moment it delivers like that, like when it comes back around to doing something emotional, it nails it as well.
Like
which is
my favorite
good film.
My favorite franchise of all time, Metal Gear Solid, has its moments of camp, but it also takes its drama seriously as well.
Well, I think there's
time for both.
And I think that's kind of it, isn't it? Like a realistic setting can just be really boring and almost unrealistic as well. Like you can have something set in like a high school here on Earth that does such a worse job of like expressing human emotions, both happy and sad.
I mean, just look at things like Coronation Street and EastEnders. Like, they, in terms of depicting some kind of realism,
so grounded.
They have such a head start on Guardians of the Galaxy because it's real people in real places, and Guardians of the Galaxy feels more human than those shows do.
But I think that's kind of the point though, and this is like I always use the example of WALL-E. and maybe we'll end on this actually, but like Wall-E is one of those films where I think if like someone had amnesia or whatever, the new English language for some weird reason, and I had to like show them about humanity and or even like what love is, I'd be like, watch Wall-E, because like in a weird way, and like this is probably the most extreme. Like it is a child's animated film, but you've got such poignant stuff in there. It's about humanity learning about itself. So you got all that, but then you got like Wall-E. The dance scene is so good when he's like, "What's dancing?" And then you got the description of dancing,
That little clip.
and them two like in space, like dancing around each other, and it's really beautifully animated. And it's kind of like they don't even speak to each other, and yet they're doing this for each other and sacrifice, and it's all about sacrifice and just like effort, the greater good. Like it's just
The greater good.
greater good.
I like
Crusty jugglers.
I like how everyone in that film is kind of on a set path. They're just going through the motions
Yeah.
until they
Yeah.
meet Wall-E. It's
and
perfect.
he's knocking them off this kind of like he's this.
I mean,
like,
there's literally a robot who follows a line until Wall-E knocks him off of it. You know?
yeah. There's so much to enjoy about that film, but
People really undersold that film by just saying it was an environmental movie.
yeah, it's just not. It's like I mean, it obviously is on like some level, but it's like
Hey, we nearly got through like an hour of podcast without me complaining about the media. That's probably the longest we've ever gone.
an hour 5. Damn, son.
Well, like before we wrap this up, I want to say that next time we do this, I'm gonna put something on this microphone so that I don't overload it with plosive sounds.
Yeah. I'm
If you watched this, I'm sorry.
hopefully I've managed to like stay away from my microphone enough.
From the monitoring, it sounds like you've been overly sibilant with the S's. I've probably got a sibilant thing, but also I've been punching hard on a kick drum.
All right. Well, we will look to rectify that next time, and
But hey, we're back.
we're back.
We're back.
We're back, buddy. And maybe we'll make it more diverse subjects next time. But this film was worth the talk.
I still don't feel like I've even said
Oh,
all
no,
I want to
there's-
say. Like maybe next time.
If you
we'll
made it this far through and basically had the entire film spoiled and you haven't seen it, go watch it. I think that's basically the whole what we're trying to get at here, right?
yeah.
Cool. Bye.
Guardians over and out.